We're live. So our title aspirations, I just want to say that straight away. It is a horrible feeling. I can only speak to how I felt. It was a visceral, painful reaction. It was horrible. But we're going to talk about it, and we're here to get you all through it as well. Glenn, thank you for joining me tonight. Thoughts? How are you feeling?
Look, I'm like everyone else. Like alarm bells are starting to sound. I think we've had an amazing start to this season, this year, and I think we've still got the best record for the year. It's like it's a hard one to comprehend that one game is going to put us completely out. I mean, Palace helped us out so much. We've gone through literally a roller coaster today. Palace helped us out winning at Liverpool. 1-0. So it was, hey, Chalkers. Sorry, I'm stealing your thunder there, Dan, but that's all right. So it's been a tough one for me. I don't think we're out of it. I think every team that we're in have got an absolute outstanding chance of slipping up, and we did today. I mean, you look at Aston Villa and Fulham. We've taken literally 1 point from 4 games. It's
awful.
Yeah. And none of us, it's like, while they were saying the Villa people want to support Unai Emery, and he's a great coach, don't get me wrong, you would think that the Arsenal fans would be saying, well, the Arsenal players want to support Mikel Arteta. Now, I don't. That second half, mate, it's like, I apologize, I'm going to have to say this joke. It's like, we were flatter in the second half than Harry Kane's forehead.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to unpick, but you know what?
It was just, I don't know what happened.
I don't know. I'm sure we'll get to it. You're right, and there is a lot of doom and gloom. I think one of the things that stands out to me is that as a fan base, we do play better away from home, and I think that we get anxious, we get nervous, and that starts to play on the team. I thought Arteta, Declan Rice, when he was interviewed, it was almost like he'd forgotten that we lost to Villa, that they've taken 6 points off us. You can't necessarily explain it. They had 2 days less to prepare. They had pretty significant injuries to deal with. I thought that actually their chances in the first half are arguably the better ones. I like this from standing in the corner with a lampshade on my head. Yeah, I just wanted to find a dark room and lie down. But I think you're right. It's easy to be doom and gloom. There's a lot of that's happened this season. There's a lot of people predicting the future based on past events. And I don't think that really works. There are 6 games left to go, 18 points up for grabs. We're 2 points behind with superior goal difference. I saw Ian Wright talking about how, Man City will have to lose 2 now. No, they won't. Man City will not have to lose 2 points. They have to draw 1. Mm-hmm. If we win all our games and they draw 1, we've become champions on current goal difference, assuming there isn't a massive swing in goal difference.
Well, there was. I think that's the thing. You put it nail on the head. I think that's the thing that I'm most frustrated about. It's like, so Manchester City, 4 goals to the positive, and we were 2 goals to the negative. That's a 6-goal swing. I mean, it doesn't help us, from that.
It doesn't help us, but to think that we're still ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, mate.
No, but it's true to say. It could happen again. But I think that there is a lot of predicting the future based on Man City will win every single game coming up. This is a Man City side that couldn't beat us, that couldn't beat Chelsea, that couldn't beat Liverpool. This is a Man City side that, they're not as strong as last season. Do I think they'll go the next 6 games and win every game? Be honest with you, if they do, they're champions. What are you supposed to do about that? You can. Sometimes you just are up against a heavyweight. Sometimes you are up against a team slightly better than you. I'm not one of those fans, as I'm sure you know, Glenn, and I hope you're not either. I'm not one of those fans that gets this close to something and then loses my head over, yes, it feels awful to be close and not win anything this season. But when I looked at the reaction of Spurs fans, when I looked at the reaction of Manchester United fans during the week, Everybody's in those fan bases, or not everyone, but a lot of people in those fan bases are thrilled that Liverpool are losing at home to Atalanta, that we're losing at home to Villa. And you just think, God, imagine that life as a fan. We are one of 3 teams that can still win the Premier League this season. We are one of only 2 English sides that could still win the Champions League, one of only 8 sides that could win the Champions League this season. It's been an enormous... This calendar year has been ridiculous. 12 games played, 1 defeat, 1 draw. And I'm reminded that most people had given up on us around the end of December anyway. So for me, there is an anxiety around the fact that people are going to call. So I want to just read out Chalker's. Did our chapper get today all wrong? Chap Arteta get today all wrong? Main players not rested, questionable formation, Kai in midfield, and late substitutions. Glenn?
I would have taken Zinchenko off before I took White off. It's simple as that. I think White was creating more problems than Zinchenko was. In fact, the first goal was the first shot that hit the post was an unfortunate pass straight into the back of Zinchenko. So you can't really blame him for that. But the second one, what the heck was he doing? It was over on the right, and he tries to put it through his legs, and then Tielemans just goes and bangs it off literally. Every reason those 2 shots should have gone in. We were just really lucky they didn't go in. It's like you said, I think they had the best chance. Although Trossard's chance in the first half was like anywhere else, it's a goal. You know, it was a tough one. Kai Havertz just didn't commit when he got beautiful run, beautiful pass, and he just didn't commit to the finish like he could have. Like Sean alluded to, was like he could have done a little bit more with that. And we put some really good passes. The first half, I mean, I think more a case of what the hell was said at half time. Like that makes no sense. It's a completely different side. We had 60-something% of the possession in the first half, and then we give them like 70% in the second half. It's like, where are we playing?
I want to say when on the Facebook group I put the lineup out, and I did the video yesterday saying this is his biggest decision of the season because you do want to rest players for the game against Bayern. Gabriel, there's been this injury concern. Saka's overplayed. Saliba's overplayed. Declan Rice is overplayed. So when he puts out a front line that's got Trossard, Jesus, and Saka, then you've got Havertz. You look at it for the goals that are in that team, and you think, yeah, this is a manager who's going out to get goals early on, and then be able to rest players. And I didn't hate that, but sometimes too much of a good thing, right? So maybe you didn't have enough ball carrying midfielders. Maybe Kai Havertz's presence in the midfield wasn't strong enough. I did think it was revealing that he was the guy breaking through the lines, that it was him running on goal. I do hate Jesus's headers. I've just gotten to a point now with them where I think they just do not deliver. He was better last season. This season, I could understand him starting Jesus, and Trossard has... There is a point with Trossard where I just think, is he our Solskjaer? He is great off the bench, but when you start him, you don't get the same thing. Having said that, there were questions asked of Arteta about Martinelli not playing, and I didn't really think this was going to be the game for Martinelli either, because I thought that Aston Villa would try and soak up a lot of our pressure and play deep. So where was the room going to be for Martinelli? Yeah, so the lineup, I don't want to be one of those guys who, with the benefit of hindsight, says, why did we make so many changes? Why not play Havertz up front? Brings other players into the ball. Thought Odegaard was good in the first half. He's picked up an injury, apparently. But to the point you made, what was said at half time, I think this is where I want to make a defense of Mikel Arteta, because I think 2 things are possibly true at the same time. He got that half-time talk wrong. I think he must have done. But sometimes you get these things wrong when you're learning. Maybe the mood wasn't quite right in the half-time interval. Maybe a more experienced manager would have relaxed them and said, don't worry, just calm down, it'll come. But the possession wasn't there in the second half. And then again, I'm not a tactician. Maybe Unai Emery did something different to the setup in the second half.
Oh, their defense was amazing in the first half. They played a fairly high line for a little bit of it, but then even when we had the ball in the box and we're kicking around in the box, it's like they were always there. They were scrappy. They did everything they had to, and they did it the right way. It was like there were always going to be a chance on the counterattacks. Ollie Watkins, he's a good player. He really is. I enjoy watching him. He's come up in leaps and bounds over the last 12, 18 months. He's done really well for himself after injury. So from that point of view, I can't take anything away from Villa in that respect. I mean, they came to play. They came with a game plan. I mean, they're playing for fourth spot. They're there to win. It's like it's not one of those things. It's like I'm half worried that we kind of took the foot off the gas because it's like we've got so many good players. Like you said, it's like Declan Rice, Saliba, Odegaard, all getting played so much because we rely on him so much. Like I think Thomas Partey had a pretty good cameo in the middle of the week against Bayern Munich. So there was it was like maybe we have Jorginho and Partey in the middle and just kind of govern the middle of the field. So
I think like I said earlier, I just got to be honest with you. I didn't think without Kamara and Luiz that they would be able to do that. I saw McGinn in the midfield and I thought, fair enough, but Yuri Tielemans for me was not the sort of player that I could see exerting an influence in that position in midfield, and I was wrong. And then there is the point where I look at it and think with a team like Villa who aren't on a great run, and they're really not. They've won once or twice in the last 5 games. I think it's once. They've had 2 days. They would have had no time to recover from the Thursday night game against. And I know it's not far to travel, but you're still traveling. They would have had a light training session on Friday, if at all, and they would have had a light training session yesterday. And so I honestly think they were there for the beating. Tottenham losing would have taken some of the pressure off them winning. And I think maybe that played its part. They didn't play with the nerves that we did. Second half, you saw nerves. I think that as much as I look hindsight, I look at it now and I think this was a game where if you can't play Emil Smith-Rowe, if you can't play Thomas Partey, if you can't make changes in a game like this one, then you really are playing 11 players. And those 11 players are going to get to this point of the season and they're going to be knackered. And you don't see that at City. You don't see that. I mean, Doku came back in for City yesterday and De Bruyne came back in and that made a difference.
Yeah, but Rodri said he couldn't play. He was tired. He needed a rest. I mean, more power.
And he got it.
Yeah, so from that point of view, is you've got to understand it's like you said, is when we have the kids in, we don't play them because we don't have enough older people in the team from the looks of things. And Chalkers, I'll get onto what you're saying here. Watkins, yes, he's a gooner. Absolutely, he is a gooner. But I believe he's 28, isn't he? Something like that.
I'll tell you. No, I don't think. I think he's younger than that, but he's 28. You're right. He's 28.
Okay. Yeah. So he's outside the profile of what Arsenal look for. 25 seems to be the cutoff. It's like apart from a Jorginho that we signed in January last year. From that point of view,
I'm very much hoping there isn't a hard line on this cutoff because I've said it a few times now. Joshua Kimmich is up for sale. We need him in more ways than just football. In a footballing sense, we are losing.
Winning mentality.
Not just look. I think yes, obviously he has a winning mentality. He's tactically very, very clever. He was. It's interesting in one of the Pep Guardiola biographies. It talks very much about how the other Bayern players couldn't believe the crap that Kimmich was getting off Pep on the sidelines in training all the time, shouting at him, drilling him. There's that famous scene after a game where Bayern won, where Guardiola runs onto the pitch and grabs Kimmich, and he's like shouting at him. And afterwards, years later, they said what he was actually saying to Kimmich is, "You could be the best in the world, but you've been playing in defence and you hadn't pushed into your midfield position." This is a player who Pep Guardiola really felt was one of the great players in the world. He's been playing brilliantly in midfield for most of his career since that centre-back move up. And, Thomas Tuchel, who I have the lowest possible regard for, frankly, I cannot imagine where he goes after Bayern, but I really hope it's fucking somewhere in Azerbaijan, because he's intolerable. Cognitive dissonance, everything about him is mental. But to fall out with Joshua Kimmich, I think the real issue is that Kimmich is going to hold on to see who comes in at Bayern, because I don't think he wants to leave. I think if Tuchel had been staying another season, he'd be on his bike. But we need players not just who've won everything, but who calm the game down in the way Jorginho does. I see Kimmich as an upgrade on Jorginho. I wouldn't want to see Jorginho leave, but I do think we need one or two more of those wiser heads on the pitch. And I think Zinchenko and Gabi Jesus are temperamentally not dragging us through these games. And I think of all the players on the pitch, I think Zinchenko was the one that was booed off. And I think that it is the end of the love affair with him, which for some reason ended quite quickly. I know we did a live cast when I'd done a poll on who do you think is Arsenal's best left back, and I think I came ahead of Zinchenko. It's like, I think we need. Sorry, go on.
Now, I don't even think it's that. I think one of the telling factors, and this goes down to the culture of the club, and I'm a little bit surprised that Mikel Arteta didn't do a little bit more about it. And he kind of defended him when he had to go at White on the pitch. But that was a little bit above and beyond. I know he's an emotional player, and I understand that, but just the way it came across, and obviously it's like like you said, when Pep got a hold of Kimmich and he's like, you could be the best player in the world, get your shit together, after a win. I mean, that's good coaching to me. He's like, hey, look, we won, but you should have been the best player on the pitch. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Kimmich is a great player. I think Zinchenko was right at the time. I think he was a good ad at the time. What did we get him for? 35, I think it was.
Yeah, it's a bargain.
Yeah, no. So from that point of view, I'm not really worried about the purchase of him. Did I ever see a long-term future with him? No. Could I see him maybe being a substitute that we get that doesn't play at left back, and maybe plays more in the defensive midfield like he does for Ukraine? Absolutely. It takes a lot of pressure off him to do that from that point of view. And when the Gabriel Jesus, he's charging back and he made a couple of good tackles on the defense. But like you said, I don't know what happened, that he's playing the number 9 role and Havertz is making more runs than Jesus. He just wasn't making the runs. He was literally going across the pitch, So that I had a problem with, because usually he makes the runs in behind. And especially when you don't have Martinelli making the runs. It's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Havertz made some great runs. And we put some crosses across that we just weren't there for.
Yeah.
It's like the flat-footedness in the second half was a little bit of a frustration. Zinchenko, as I said, I mean, I would have absolutely, the second one where he actually really did give the ball away, where he was in complete control. He could have got that rid of that so much easier. I would have put him off. In fact, when Tommy was coming on, I thought they were taking Zinchenko off. So sure, because I really do think there was a couple of mistakes. I think that's one of the biggest ones we made. I think it was a waste of time putting Nketiah on from that point of view.
I'm gonna full disclosure. When Leon Bailey scored, I stormed out to go into my office and slammed the door behind me. And when I got into the office and I put on the betting app,
it was 2-0.
I was like, that can't be right. Literally, it takes me. It's a 15-second walk to my. And then when I watched it back and I saw that. I mean, I first of all want to say Emil Smith-Rowe. I think he did a really good job of tracking.
Oh, he tried. Yeah, no, he definitely marked him well.
I mean, what the fuck is he doing marking? I mean, first of all, yeah.
Well, that's the problem. It's like with when we do the inverted full backs, we're going to be subject to that kind of stuff. Yeah. But we had pushed up so much because it was straight after a corner, right? So you should have had Zinchenko, Jorginho, and Emily Smith-Rowe should have been basically the back three. 2 should have been sitting basically a triangle, 2 sitting basically near the line, and 1 sitting in front of it. We didn't have that. They were all basically in the final third of the pitch, and that's
I didn't know it was from a corner, so I am at a huge disadvantage in trying to analyse it. All I saw was he's onside because he's in his own half.
Yep.
And the only player that and runs well with him was Emil Smith-Rowe.
Yeah.
I listen.
He couldn't take him down. He couldn't take him down because he was literally the last man. So if he had taken him down, it would have been a straight red.
And at that point, look, let's be honest. If it's 1-0, I didn't see us scoring an equaliser. When they put 8 minutes of injury time up, I was like, oh. I want to just read Chalkers. Did the pressure get to Arteta in his preparation? I'm gonna just say this briefly. That when I think about Arteta, when I think about his age, when I think about his relative experience, to me it's remarkable what he's achieved, but that there are still things he has to learn. So I do think the pressure got to him. It would have got to almost anyone. There are a handful of managers in the world who wouldn't be feeling an enormous amount of pressure. Just look at Jurgen Klopp. So I think it did get to him, but I don't see that as a criticism. What about you, Joe?
I don't know if pressure's the right word. I mean, with the preparation, I guess you would say pressure from the fact that you're this close to moving through to the next round of the Champions League, to the semi-finals. So I think that part, having one eye on that, I think it maybe he was a little bit distracted by that. He had one eye on the ball and one eye on the future. And unfortunately, we've done that a lot over the last several years. It's something, and I think maybe that's one of the problems what we used to, when we get a little bit frustrated on, is that we do that kind of stuff. We go a little bit too far forward in terms of how we're thinking about how things are going to be against Bayern Munich. It's like Villa had been playing shit. We're up for the next one. So from that point of view, I kind of get it. It's like, and I mean, we dominated possession. We had some good chances. They had the best chances. I'll say that, except for the Trossard part. And our finishing was just off the boil today. It's like, it was just, we did exactly what Liverpool did. We had plenty of the ball and no shots, but they had better shots in the second half. We didn't want to play in the second half. And I just don't know whether we were so focused on saying, maybe he's more focused on. I would be more focused on the Premier League if it was me. But maybe he's just wants. It's nothing wrong with being greedy. Go for both of them. But the same vote is destiny in our own hands. I mean, we win today, we go 1 point up. Goal difference goes up again. I understand that, but then again, it's like we beat Bayern Munich at Bayern Munich. Great semi-finals. Guess who? Probably Man City.
Yeah, great. Whoopee. I do think it's hard to see how you couldn't have one eye. But then I think his selection spoke to a different approach, because, if it was me, I don't know what I'd do. I've said consistently since yesterday, I think it's his hardest decision, because it's one thing saying we've got a squad without injury in it. It's another thing to say that these guys are all 100%. I think if you looked at match fitness, we have players like Thomas Partey who just don't have any. Emil Smith-Rowe that doesn't. Fabio Vieira doesn't have any. We have a bunch of the squad that has Eddie Nketiah's played barely any minutes. Reece Nelson's played barely any minutes. There's no match fitness there. Then you've got, of the uninjured players, most of the key ones are carrying some level of fatigue, mental or physical or both. So do I think that I would hope that I would look at a game like this and say, yeah, we need to rotate. Maybe not everyone. I'm glad that Gabriel played, but if he's injured or he's carrying a knock, you've got to be able to bring Kivior in for this game. And if we don't have any other centre backs but Saliba and Gabriel,
but that's the point. Like, we don't. It doesn't have to be. It could be Ben White. It can be Tommy. Both of them are actually for. They're obviously born.
The reason I wouldn't say Ben White is because I think he's played 100 of the 106 games he could have played since we signed him. So if he needs a break,
Tommy would have been good on his left, Saliba's left. But then again, you've got to sit there and go, okay, now do you rest Gabriel this week, and then do you rest Saliba next week? We're trying to find that thing. We've already proved last year how much Saliba means to us.
But I think Gabby means arguably more. Yeah. I think that Saliba this season, I think he's not the warrior that Gabby is.
Yeah, better. Go.
Well, I think he's getting us the better results this season. And I think Saliba has a much higher ceiling, and I think that he will be a better defender. But I think that he gets the emotion of the occasion can get to Saliba, and he's kind of languid in approach. He doesn't look like he's nervous or anything like that. But I think Gabriel has been vital for us. I wouldn't want to drop him. I wouldn't want to drop Ben White, Declan Rice, Saka, Odegaard. But this was the problem at the end of last season. At the end of last season, we ran out of energy. You looked at the most minutes that a Man City player had played, and it was 600 fewer than Saka. And I don't know. I watched with itchy fists when people like Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer say, "Oh, you should be able to play every week." It's like, yeah, they do play every week, but they don't play as well every week as if you just rested them properly. I think Rodri turning around to, Rodri saying to Pep Guardiola, I need to have a rest here. You look at the Luton game and you think, my God, if you do need Rodri to beat Luton. And I think Pep Guardiola has, throughout his time at City, has ensured that players are not overused. He's got a better squad. We all know that. I'm not going to say that I'm not trying to beg for everybody's sympathy. I know that we all know that they have the best squad in the Premier League. Nobody can compete with their first and second 11 squad depth. But we need to help some of these players out a little bit as well, because the other thing about overloading the team the way he did today is you looked at the bench and you thought, well, what are the options? I think you're right. Zinni needed to come off. I think Kivior needed to come off against Bayern, and Zinni was the right choice. To drop Kivior for this match, I think was a mistake, really, because it's, partly it's going to be his confidence, and then the other side of it is this would have been a good game for Kivior to come back into.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. Obviously, the Zinchenko thing should have happened. I think Kivior should have played. He'd been playing really well up until that point. Different stage, different expectations overwhelmed him. Completely understand. He's a young kid,
He's up against Leroy Sané.
Yes.
This is not some dummy either, right?
No.
And it wasn't just Kivior that got ruined by Leroy Sané either. It was everyone when he just waltzed into the area.
Yeah, and then feeds Gnabry. It's like, it was insane. It's like, but one of the biggest turning points in this match for me, and I don't know that many people paid it, and I put a comment in our chat about it because I was really pissed off, is the ball had gone down the right for Aston Villa and they had the ball, and then we turned it over. And I'm talking like it was in there for 30 seconds to a minute. And we were in their final third, and we get it out, and I can't remember. I think it was Odegaard plays a long ball, and Jesus was just coming back from an offside position. After all that time, he was just coming back, and he hadn't gone down injured or anything like that. He was just dawdling up the side. To me, that one, like you were talking about, he hasn't had the match fitness that a lot of other people have. I was so incensed. I would have pulled him off the pitch straight away. It's like, if you can't get back in such an important game when we need the full 3 points, it pissed me off almost as much as Zinchenko trying to do a fancy pass twice, like that one right in front of their goal. Oh my gosh. Try to do some.
He makes no. I mean, like, I've defended Zinni. I like him. I'm glad he's in the squad. I'm baffled that he gets such a hard time, and then he has a performance in him like today, and you just think, whilst I don't think it's the criticism of him is fair viewed across the entire season, there are games in which you just look at him and think do you know how important it is at this point? You know, we need you to be less of a player who's playing in a spotlight, who is aware of people watching him, and more of a player who's playing in a team that needs to get a job done. And I thought when he came on against Bayern, he knew what was expected of him, and he did really well. And today he was pirouetting around the football in the worst possible place. We are almost joined. I'm about to add, Sean, do not adjust your sets, people.
Well, it's not just that. Oh, got a bit of the bit of wine, huh?
Yeah, it's celebratory or commiserate. So it's always there.
What? So we're talking about Zinchenko a little bit here. Look, he's at the bane of my existence in terms of frustration. He does some absolutely amazing things. As far as heart goes, there's not too many people that play for Arsenal play with more heart than he does. And I say that unequivocally, but sometimes he just gets there and I don't know whether he thinks he's Pele or something like that. He just gets the ball at his feet and then suddenly it's like, I can do whatever I like here. I don't care about anyone else. I'm going to get past them. There's 3 people on me. I'll just dink it around a bit. I don't need to worry about the fact that we're in their 18-yard box. You know, like that kind of stuff is the part that drags me down a little bit because he can play some amazing long balls. He can play some switch sides really easy, really well from that point of view. But he just has that in him where he has that moment. He has that, I don't know whether it's a brain fade or just a little bit too much confidence.
Yeah, well, let's compare it to Sengard, right? Decision making. You know, on that inside right, outside right, and Ben White, we can do that. It's very unusual to see bad decisions made. Now they might not play an incisive pass through 5 defenders every time, but it's also unlikely for them to give the ball away needlessly. Our left seems a little bit looser both in attacking and defending, and that chaos can bring pros and cons. I think what you're saying is I'm inclined to agree that the cons, considering how far we've moved along as a team, may be slightly outweighing the pros, and that may be the case. I wouldn't be surprised if we were open to the idea of a left back in the transfer window.
Well, like a Yuri and Timber type.
I don't think he's a left back. Here's a weird thing. We've got so many.
Hang on. All I'm going to say is the only 2 games he's played that aren't friendlies have been at left back. So I would guess that. But
Zinks was injured and Ben White wasn't. I think he was brought in to be a right back. But here's the thing: we've got all these supposed backup centre backs in Tommy and White and Timber when he's all these people, these part-time centre backs. But are they going to get played? You know what Mikel's like? he likes his first 11, doesn't he? Gabriel was out of training and expecting him to be playing in Munich, and he played 90 minutes today. Who is our third centre back?
Well, Glenn said this earlier. You can play Ben White, you can play Tommy, you can play Kivior. We have choices at centre. We have a whole team back fit. This I think one thing that I would maybe not wholeheartedly agree with what you said, Glenn, which was he's unequivocally for the team. I don't always see that from Zinny. I think he's a player who likes people watching him, and I don't think he always does the simple stuff that he could do. But I think he's undoubtedly a player that can grab the game by the scruff of the neck and drive inside, and orchestrate a little bit like he did against Bayern. I thought that was a good choice to bring him on. Today, there were a few players, I think, reacting to when players are clearly not quite up to it is usually one of the most important things a manager can do. And I don't think certainly I don't feel like that happened today. It's not me trying to go in on Arteta, but I think it's fair to call out when I think he's made mistakes. I just don't think there was a plan B today. Normally, I think we know roughly how to adjust. We adjusted against Bayern. Today, I think it's tough when you go into the halftime and you feel, and Arteta certainly from what he said after the match, felt like we were dominating, like we were doing really well, and so didn't necessarily think he needed to change. That wasn't my perception, if I'm honest. Listening to Arteta, when he was talking about how it was one of our best performances in the first half, and I was like, well, I've seen better. So
I agree with you, Dan. I do. We missed some sitters from our two biggest sitter misses. We were texting Glenn at the time. Jesus should have scored the header, and Havertz should have scored the one-on-one. If you want to be harsh, it doesn't always happen, but championship-winning teams do that. We didn't do that, but we were let off the hook on one or two occasions as well. So I can't say that we dominated. I'm not going to say.
I'm getting properly fed up with Jesus trying to head the ball, if I'm honest. I really
He used to score headers.
I know last year they went in. I mean, like right now, I almost feel like it's a prank when they put one on his head. It's like, haha, score that, bet you don't. I mean, schoolboy stuff. The rule of headers is hit it back where it came from, which is actually a ridiculous rule in of itself. But I think
the rule is always headed down, and he does hit it down, but between the sticks would be great.
It doesn't always head it down. I've seen him head it miles over. I've seen it goes everywhere but in the underbar.
The first rule of headers is head down.
No, the first rule is head it back in the direction it came from, so that you get the most power on it. That's the anyway. We're going to argue about neither of us have headed the ball in our lives. So like,
not deliberately.
I'm talking about Willie
not deliberately. I wouldn't care too much off him. I don't think he was a Premier League.
No, he's the master of football. He knows everything.
Oh, fine.
He's the Yoda of football.
Yeah. And I bet Yoda was better with his head than fucking Jesus anyway.
Well, the problem I had with it, it was a beautiful cross. It really was a beautiful cross. Yeah. I really think Jesus was just parked there so long that he had too much time to think about it and try to get too fancy with the header. I really do feel that way. If you watch it again, it looks like he just sat there and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to put it exactly here, bottom left corner, just underneath."
Up to freeze frame now. Go, no, you're not. No, you're not. We've got Lee's here. Why play Havertz in midfield? It hasn't worked previously. He's been good playing up front. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if. Listen, I don't really believe all this. Havertz hasn't played well in midfield. I think he's played his best games for us as a number 9.
Well, hang on a second. He's not even like when he plays as a number 9. He still rotates in the midfield. He can't. It's like, and from that point of view, it's like I can completely see.
I think the argument here is not that whether it's more that when you play him in the midfield, you're not playing someone, right? So in this case, Jorginho, or it could have been an Emil Smith Rowe. Whereas if you're playing him up front instead of Jesus, you are playing other players that are doing better jobs. The question, therefore, most likely, I would say, is this question I would have more agreement with it if it said, why play Jesus? Why are we trying to get him into shape? Do we want to see him play 90 minutes? I mean, what was Jesus doing today that we couldn't do without?
I guess it's one of those.
But look, I mean, Havertz from midfield, he did manage to do the underway to kind of finding space. He got the one-on-one, absolutely fluffed it. But there we go. God, I hope we don't after one game go back to this 20 goals a season.
No, and I think that segues really well to Emery, who said the following, and we can see on screen: deep breaths. It's not over till it's over. Expectations we can win every game post New Year is not realistic. So why is this reaction from every angle now? Absolutely agree with you. That's a really logical. 100%.
I like it.
But I'm not talking about logic. I'm talking about how I felt. And this live stream is a couple of hours since the game ended. I'm feeling a bit better about it now. But when it happened, I was gutted. I was really gutted, and I felt like it was over. And that isn't necessarily the how I feel or how I will feel going into it. Let's not forget that Man City have a weekend off of the Premier League next weekend. because of the FA Cup. If we play and beat Wolves, we go top, and then arguably the pressure's on them to play catch up, and they have to win every game, and they may or may not do that. And as I've said earlier in this stream, if Man City win all their remaining games, they're champions, right? You can't argue with that. It's an amazing achievement. 4 in a row speaks to how good this team is. So I don't think it's. I think we also, as Arsenal fans, and then I'll shut up for a moment, but as Arsenal fans, I think part of how I feel is like, oh God, we're going to get it from every single angle. Oh, you bottled it from teams that have never been anywhere near anything that could be bottled. There are people out there rejoicing that Liverpool got beaten by Atalanta, who would kill to see their club in the kind of position that Liverpool are in. And there are fans who will go in on us now as a team because we've lost one game this year. That's the reality. I think that's a fair point. Anyway, that's my reaction. I'm just saying I felt viscerally. I cancelled the first live stream. I'm not doing it. I don't want to talk about it. I want to go lie down.
Yeah, he was having none of it. I remember.
Yeah, no. Look,
I don't blame you. It's irritating. Crystal Palace. It stood out. How many minutes after that goal? Yeah, they had the second one taken away, but they stood and they were champions. I mean, the way they stood up to time after time again against Liverpool, and you go, "Here's it, the chance, right here." Blew it straight away.
No, well, I haven't thought Liverpool are in realistic shout. I think it was incredible that they got through their injury spell, but actually they've dropped off since players have come back. I don't think their front three is a title-winning front three. I think Van Dijk, listen, I'm not going to go into it, but of the three teams, I never predicted Liverpool were going to win it. I thought it comes down to us and Manchester City when we outperformed my expectations against Brighton and Man City by getting 4 points where I'd predicted 1. I was beginning to believe that we weren't going to stumble in the way we did today. And the fact that we did just brings back horrible memories of last year. So I feel you, it's heartbreak. And also Lee's come in with Jorginho should have been there. Yeah, but I mean, Jorginho, like...
No, so here, I'll make it a little bit easier. So the reason Jorginho didn't play, in my opinion, obviously, because what the fuck do we know, is Ollie Watkins is too quick. So if we've got the two centre-backs pushing up and Jorginho has to cut in because we've got Zinchenko going, who is not quick either. We can't have two not quick people trying to back up our centre-backs. So that's why Declan was put at the back and Havertz was put it up front. Now, Partey didn't have enough.
I think he's being rested for Bayern, personally.
Jorginho?
I think he needs Jorginho. He needs European experience on the away night against Bayern Munich, against the Allianz Arena crowd. I think that's what he's looking for. And
I think he's going to play. I think he's going to start. I think Rice will play up. I think Rice will play in the attacking midfield role ahead of Jorginho in that for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. And I've got a feeling that Jesus is going to start as well at 9.
Which makes me surprised that we didn't trust Thomas Partey in a game like this. That we didn't.
I think you're like. I think he should have had a cameo role. I don't think he should have started. I think it's just one of those things. If we were going to push Jorginho, and I think we are, that he's going to play on. I think Thomas Partey he's got a lot of Granit Xhaka in him because we didn't want to have a shot at goal in the second half. But Granit Xhaka years, he would be 25 yards out and he'd have a crack at it, Yeah. Thomas Partey has that in him as well. It's like we needed something to break up the monotony of chipping it around the 18-yard block and hoping for the perfect pass. We can't always get that.
Actually, that really resonates with me because watching it in the first half, I went back to how I felt in January, which was like, if you're not breaking down a low block, just ping the ball low across the ground and see where it bounces. You've got players in and around. And if you've got Trossard and Jesus, surely that's their strength to pop on things. But they weren't, and they just didn't. And I completely agree.
We used to have that once upon a time with Stefan Schwartz, remember? He could ping the ball from halfway back to the area. Ball hard, straight, low.
You're going so far back now that like 30 years ago, I remember Stefan Schwartz's principle for that
now.
game against. Sampdoria is a game I remember from Stefan Schwartz, and also the fact that he just wanted to leave. So no, I don't really.
But it's what Glenn is talking about. Having a defensive midfielder who can ping it from distance is going to bring one of the defenders out to try and block that, which can bring a little bit of space inside. It's always a characteristic you want to have your 6 and your 8.
I think we were unbalanced today, and I think that it's easy. I posted on the Facebook group. I think this lineup will do the job. As I said earlier in the live stream, there were enough goals in this side. It looked like we hadn't rested players for the Bayern game, but we were focused on this game. Of course, after the event, you look at it and say, was Zinni a good decision? Maybe Jorginho was needed in this game. I totally take your point, Glenn, about how, Ollie Watkins is too quick. But then isn't that why you've got Saliba? And isn't that the whole point? It's who's in and around Ollie Watkins.
It was a home game. And you know what Wenger always said? We'll concentrate how we play. We're not going to put a team out.
Sorry, who said that?
Wenger.
Yeah, all right. It didn't work brilliantly for Wenger either.
It's been an overriding thing. A lot of our managers are like, I'm not going to put out a team against their team. I'm going to put out a team to be as best as we can.
It's funny because I'm reading a book on tactics. That's not about tactics, really. I highly recommend it, but it goes through the managers, really. And it's really fascinating because if you look at, let's take Pep Guardiola as the gold standard of managers. He doesn't do that. He doesn't go, we'll just think about how we play. He's been known to spend 2 weeks studying another team to see how they're going to play, to see if there's any weaknesses. This notion that you can have a team playing. So Alex Ferguson famously switched from the 4-4-2 because it wasn't working in Europe. And he had to start looking at who he was up against. I think the idea of creating a team that's so good, that plays so well, that you don't have to worry about the opposition. If that is possible, we're not there yet. And I think that looking ahead to the Bayern game, I think Arteta has, on several occasions, I think the Bayern surprised me because they came and they gave up possession and they sat deep. And that has not been a Tuchel tactic with Bayern. And I think that it worked as well as it could have worked for them. We gave them 2 goals. But on another night, if we hadn't gifted them those 2 goals, we would have been found out. But it did wrong foot Arteta. I don't think there's any question of that. He played Martinelli not expecting Joshua Kimmich to be tagging him the whole game and for them to be so condensed. So the idea that you can set up a team and just focus on how you play, I think is fanciful, and I don't see it happening at the highest levels of sport. Unless you can name another top-level manager winning things who doesn't set up differently for different opponents.
My point is counter to the one of we played such and such because Ollie Watkins is so fast. So I'll also contend that if we were so worried about Ollie Watkins' speed, we wouldn't have played Zinchenko because he's not the fastest. So there are a number of different things, and I can see the point. It's an important point, but I just don't believe it was a point that informed selection.
See, I do. I'm with Glenn on this one. I think when I looked at the probable lineup of Villa, I expected Bailey and I expected our left side to be a problem. I thought that they would try and get at us on the left-hand side, either because Kivior was off form or, went flappy against Leroy Sané, which he's not the first defender to do. So I did think that Arteta had... So I think that Arteta did adjust the way we set. We must have done, because that team hasn't played together. That he put out today, that was the first iteration of that. So why suddenly change it if it's not with a nod to how Aston Villa play? On some level, we did not put out our standard 11 against Aston Villa, and there has to be a reason for that. I think that Zinchenko was a really good idea. Apart from, I don't necessarily think this is all going to have been Zinchenko. If he was inverting into the middle, ideally preventing passes getting to Ollie Watkins, then Ollie Watkins' speed is nullified.
Yeah, but
it is. It is.
Yeah, Sean.
Go ahead, Glenn.
My point's not so much about the Zinchenko part. It's more a case of we can't have Jorginho and Zinchenko trying to defend the quick person. If we've got Rice back there who's quick enough to cover Zinchenko's slowness, that's what I'm talking about. But if you have Jorginho back there trying to cover Zinchenko's slowness, it's a snail's race. But
then that is the presumption that so many people have been making, that Jorginho can't play as an 8. I think some of his best performances have been when he's rotated into that left 8 position. I don't see him necessarily. I probably, with the benefit of hindsight, it's difficult to know if I would have liked to see Thomas Partey in this game, because if we are going to need him for any part of the rest of the season.
Was he on the bench?
Yeah, he's on the bench. Yeah,
he was on the bench.
I didn't see much the second half. I had people around, but he didn't come on at all.
No,
it didn't come on at all.
Unused substitute along with Kivior, Vieira, and Ramsdale.
Right. So this would have been an interesting one for me. I mean, I know Emil came on for Odegaard, who's been best performer he has been best performer
injured
on for the whole season, but particularly in recent weeks.
Yeah, he's injured.
He's really been incredibly good recently. And I thought that we might see Emil Smith-Rowe playing perhaps a little bit more than we did with Munich coming. He was brilliant against Bayern at home. He was our best player, I think. But look, here we are. We're back to that same thing that we had over the period. We had some chances and we didn't take them. Two notable ones by our two.
I think that's what Arteta said. And to be honest with you, we had 3 chances really. I mean, in the entire game, we had 4 shots. In the entire game, we had 4 shots on target, and that isn't really the dominant sort of we had chances. I mean, we are not a side that's that clinical in front of the goal that we get 4 chances and bang it. Well, I mean,
you've kind of got to watch it there. I mean, it's like we've been clinical in front of goals. When we're on point, the confidence is up. If we had got a goal in the first half, I could see us winning that 3 or 4-0. It's that kind of momentum with the confidence and stuff like that. I don't think the season's over at all. I know it takes it out of our hands a little bit, and I know Manchester City have that killer instinct. But the same vote is
they've got the easier running.
It's scary. Everyone plays.
It's been an awesome season, and it was advantage Arsenal, and then it was advantage City, and then it was advantage Liverpool, and now it's advantage City again. And nip and tuck's fantastic, but most people are going to say, "Yeah, this might be the last time that changes now." And if it is, it is. I'm not. There's no disgrace. It's a shame. We've got tough games to come. I didn't expect us to fall this particular hurdle, but there you go. It's not the end of the world. All I'm saying is that they say the championship winning sides will just tuck those away. The early goal, we didn't have early chances, but about half an hour in, we had 1 or 2 chances. If we put one of them away, it might have changed the nature of the game.
I think the reality is that championship winning performances, both Arteta and Declan Rice and Ian Wright after the game said something that you hear a lot, which is if you can't win, don't lose. I think our problem is we lost that game, because as much as a draw would have been a tough result to take, we would have still been behind Man City, and it wouldn't maybe have made all that much difference. I think it was the losing that hurt. And I think that when you look at teams that aren't playing particularly well and not taking their chances, that's okay. But we gave away 2 goals today. I thought that, we were joking about it because I stormed out. What's that?
Like we did against Bayern.
Not as bad as we did against Bayern. Bayern was a horror show, but we outplayed, and I'm terrified for us Wednesday. Oh, don't be terrified, fuck's sake. It's seriously.
No. He's got a fair point. It's
what, terrified?
Look, we're Arsenal fans. We're the same as everyone else.
I'm not going to be terrified. Convince me I should be terrified.
I'm not going to say you've got to be terrified, but we're going to all be concerned because we're Arsenal fans and we're worried that we won't get what we want.
There's a gulf, there's a chasm between concerned and terrified.
Yeah,
I'm with you on concerned. I'm just not here with terrified. Terrified is nonsense. Terrified, I wouldn't be terrified if we were going to Man City. I'm not terrified of anyone.
No,
I
not
think
anymore.
that no.
Not
So
anymore. It's
and
not like
Bayern Munich
I'll
can
put it
lick
this
their
way, though.
lips
If
all
we'd
they
won
like. I'll tell you
today-
why Bayern Munich. Hang on, Sean. I'll tell you why Bayern Munich are not licking their lips. They've lost Manuel Neuer. They've lost Kingsley Coman for the rest of the season. They'll be without Serge Gnabry and Leroy Sané. Thomas Muller and Tuchel have fallen out. Joshua Kimmich and Tuchel have fallen out. Their fans are pissed off like mad because today they lost the Bundesliga first time in 12 years. Yeah, no, I'm not terrified of Munich. And as to the idea that Munich will smash us, I'm going to put money on the fact that people who feel like that have not been watching a lot of Bayern Munich. I don't think Bayern Munich are as strong a side as Aston Villa right now.
I think you're right, and my concern is simple. It's like I think we should own that game. I think it will be a 3-1 finish. We'll win this game, and it's knowing that we haven't been in a position for me to say that so confidently over the last decade and a half. You're like it's something that's kind of surreal. It's like we used to getting let downs, and I think that's always going to be in the back of any fan, any club's mind. Is like we're always going to be worried that we're not going to live up to expectations. I think we're doing a great job this season. We still, as I said at the start, we have the best record in the Premier League for this year. It's not something that is like you can't put it back on the like one loss. Okay, yeah, we shouldn't have lost. No. We gave it away. I understand that, but the same vote is we're not done. We're not done. We're going to make it through to the semi-finals of the Champions League. 3-1 win. Enough said. Quite happy to say that.
I don't know about 3-1. I mean, I think you're reaching a little bit for 3-1. No. We're going to go away to Bayern and win 3-1. I'm not necessarily saying that, but I definitely this idea. I've left it up there. I want to take it down. Munich will smash us. On what basis are Munich going to smash us? They couldn't beat Dortmund at home. They lost. I mean, they've lost game after. They lost to Bochum. They've lost game after game. They're not 16 points adrift of the Bundesliga with 5 games to go because you wouldn't be saying that if we'd drawn Dortmund. You wouldn't be terrified of going to Dortmund. And Dortmund are playing better than Munich.
Actually, I'd be more scared of Dortmund because I'd be more scared of any team that we think we should beat.
Yeah, I agree with you.
There's many of those in the Champions League.
Yeah, look how we do when we go.
It's always been a weakness of ours, to be honest. Whenever
it's a weakness of every team that doesn't win the league or silverware. That ultimately is the case. You know, most teams come a cropper against teams that they should probably beat. Liverpool today against Crystal Palace.
And it happened to us today, yeah. Palace were heroic and had plenty of luck. You see some of those blocks last minute tins for Liverpool. I mean, it was incredible. We've had days like that against us. And I was texting you guys. It's nice to know that it happens against someone else. Because, the amount of times you and I, Dan, we've had chats about how the opposing keeper was the man of the match. That wasn't the case with Villa today. But it has been in the past.
Yeah. So here we go. This is the kind of logic that does wind me up a little bit. Porto are crap and they gave us a lot of trouble. Right. Okay.
They were brilliant.
Therefore, if we played Sporting would have won. It doesn't work like that. Who's that? Is that you guys?
Yeah, it's me. Sorry, mate. It's all right.
That's all right.
Loud ringtone, Holmes.
On the basis that we...
like a call-in dial.
Sean, your internet is horror show. I know mine used to be, but yours is... You've just frozen. Oh, no, you're not. You're back.
No,
you're coming through well.
No, not at all.
It comes through every now and then. You kind of get a little bit. Your voice comes through, but you get a little bit staticky throughout the thing, mate. It's one of those things. So,
and then here it is on the. Hang on a second. On the basis we ain't good in Europe. Well, to be fair, we're in the fucking quarterfinals of the Champions League. That's all right, isn't it? You know,
we topped our group.
Qualified comfortably, topped our group, got past Porto, needed penalties to do it. I don't hate that. Man, Bayern Munich weren't amazing in the... Bayern Munich had to squeak past. So let's not... On the basis we ain't good in Europe. If you're going to base everything on the fact we haven't won the Champions League before, yeah, I mean, we're not in the quarterfinal then. We would have not qualified. We would have not got through our group stages. We would have done a Newcastle. We would have done a Man United. And I'm loving both of those teams at the moment because they screwed up the coefficient.
Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool. Look, let's have it right. Aston Villa squeaked a game against Lille in the Conference League. What is that cup even called? The European Conference League. So, on the basis we ain't good in Europe, you're saying Munich will smash us. Go and put a bet on it. I don't follow the logic there at all. On the two teams,
I just put a bet on it. I bet on 3-1 Arsenal.
I'll tell you what,
$5 for 100.
You got 20 to 1. That's all you got on that.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Let me see. I think I could do better than that. I would have offered you more than that. Listen, I think that you have to look at. They have got a good defense, even with Eric Dyer in it. All right, Alphonso Davies. There aren't many to beat him for pace.
Oh no, not playing. He's out.
Oh, of course, yeah, he's out. Fuck yeah, he's out. So, so who is this glorious? I mean, Thomas Muller will play now. I couldn't believe he didn't play against us. I honestly I
was happy he didn't play against us, mate.
Oh, of course.
Nothing to do with Tuchel, like totally not getting along with the leaders in the dressing room. Of course.
The problem with that is, and this is the part where I was happy Thomas didn't play, because the simple fact of the matter is, when you get into a relationship like that with your coach, you score in spite of them. You don't score for them; you score in spite of them. You get worked up, and you stick one up there, and that's why I was so happy to play. Yeah.
I think you're right, but he's going to play, and we're going to be going after it, whether we like it or not. They managed to draw with us with no fans in the stadium, which pissed me off. And we gave them away, and now we've shipped 4 goals in 2 games, which is as many goals as we shipped up to that game in the whole year. So we may have a little bit of a crisis of confidence, and I'm a little bit scared about that. But look, if we'd won today, there's a question for you, and it's a barbed, horrible, nasty question. If we'd won today, what would you have wanted to go through the next round? Would you want to put everything into the away leg when in the driving seat in the Premiership with tough games to come?
No.
It's a cunt of a question, isn't it?
No, it's not. Listen, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. And no, I don't think it is a tough question. And I think it's really straightforward. Like I keep saying it, like the idea of playing Man United and Tottenham away is one thing. Although, to counter the point, last season when we went out against Sporting, I felt at least this meant we could stay fit. And when you look at teams like Spurs, for example, who have these long gaps between playing at the moment, it doesn't seem to do them any good. Almost the momentum and the rhythm of playing every 3 days seems to be good, but you do have to rotate within that. So there is a sweet spot rotation. I felt, honestly, let the chips fall where they will. I do think we'll get past Bayern Munich on Wednesday. I say that as somebody who's watched almost every game Bayern have played this season, and I would challenge anyone who's seen Bayern play every game this season to disagree with me. But when it comes to Real Madrid or Man City, I don't really think we're equipped to knock Real Madrid out of the Champions League and win the Premier League against Man City. So if Real Madrid beat Man City out of the Champions League, then we could be in that nightmare scenario where they can rest players and we can't. And even in saying, I think we might still go through against Bayern Munich, I think we might need 120 bloody minutes to do it. And then 3 days later, we're off to play Wolves. And the way that Arteta picks teams, I don't necessarily think we'll see enough rotation. I was really chuffed when he rotated like he did against Luton. It was a game he rotated everyone for. And then you kind of go, and now we're back to this, play the players who never get a rest. Saka didn't play badly today. I thought he was one of our better players, but
we tried to sign Modric. It didn't happen. Where was he going to play? And so he seems to be a right winger. So we tried to buy a right winger, and we failed.
Modric. Oh, right, yeah.
But we didn't try and sign another after. Which seems to be an admission that we needed one, but then we didn't get one we wanted. We didn't try for another one, which is an interesting, admission. Like Diaby at Aston Villa was someone that you knew I was hot for, and we didn't go in for him that much. I think he would have been great because he could have covered either wing and attacking midfield as well. But I just find it interesting. If we really wanted to spend 80 million on Mudryk, then when we can get, what were we going for instead? The admission was there, right?
We signed Trossard. That's who. Lee has written here.
Before that.
Huh?
We signed Trossard before that.
No, we signed Trossard because we couldn't get Mudryk. Today was a wake-up call for me, and my confidence is shot. Liverpool lost first, so we should have been more up for this game. Not of, just hate that. Listen, if that's what it takes to shoot your confidence, thank God you don't play for the Arsenal, because like what one bad result in a calendar year shows you more than the 11 good results, then I don't think your confidence was really there in the first place. If the only way you can be confident as an Arsenal fan is if we win all of our games, then I hate to be the first to break the news to you, but you're going to be disappointed a lot. I can't remember. Even the Invincibles drew 12 games.
It's an overstatement. A wake-up call, no. Yes, we were doing really well in 2024. You can call it a wake-up call. But I will concede the point that the fact that Liverpool tripped over is irritating, even more irritating than we did straight away afterwards. We would nice to have just pressed that advantage over them and felt that they were not at the title race properly, points-wise. We didn't. We tripped up as well. We tripped up by more goals than they did, and at home. So that point I can concede.
Which point are you conceding?
The point is that the fact that Liverpool lost first has made the loss slightly more irritating. The wake-up call,
Liverpool lost first,
shot,
so we should have been more up for this game. Liverpool lost first, so we should have been more up for this game. Declan Rice said he didn't know Liverpool.
Yeah, I don't like the end bit. I don't think anyone ever goes out going, actually, don't really mind if we lose this.
Yeah, because Liverpool won. So what difference does it make? Yeah. No, I mean, look. To read this statement, today was a wake-up call for me, and my confidence is shot. Liverpool lost first, so we should have been more up for this game. I think we were up for it. I hate this idea that people always go, every time you lose, you just weren't up for it. I think sometimes you go to do something and you give it your best shot, and it just doesn't work. And there's lots of reasons.
We've been here before. We have. You're right. We have been here before.
So every time people say they just weren't up for it, every time people say, "Oh, they just weren't up for it," it makes me feel like lazy. Glenn,
what about the badge, mate? But the badge, Dan. But the badge.
Look, I think it's one of those things. I think Sean has a valid point in terms of the fact that, okay, Liverpool tripped up. Okay, we've got an advantage, but every one of us has said from the start of this year, we have to pretty much win every game. We have to do it. And look, we're also realists. We talked about it earlier. We're going to trip up. There's no way we're going to be able to maintain such an amazing form. We're going to trip up every now and then. Whether it was the two absolutely shocking goals that we gave up against Bayern Munich that shot us a little bit defensively in our confidence. I still don't know what happened in that second half. It's like the shots. I think all four of our shots on target were in the first half. So I mean, that's just. I would love to know how many shots we even had at goal in the second half. I know Rice put a couple over the net. One from outside and another one from a
home game.
Yeah. Look, it gets a little bit frustrating in that point. Sean, going back on real quick to what we're talking about with Trossard and Mudryk. Mudryk got drafted in the January. It got picked up in the January before we picked up Trossard. So Trossard was our plan B. I still say
he's left-sided attacking midfielder, Mudryk's right-sided attacking midfielder. So we're talking about cover for Saka. It doesn't apply.
No.
It's great. I'm glad we've got him. It seems to me that there was an admission that we needed some extra power on the right wing, and we didn't get it. So we need some extra power on the left wing.
No, wasn't that?
Yeah.
Mudryk's playing on the left, right?
Yep.
So Mudryk's a left-sided player.
Yeah, he is playing on the left at the moment.
No, he was playing on left when we went for him.
Yep.
He's a left-sided player.
But that's, I'm just clarifying that Mudryk was picked up just before we picked up Trossard from that point of view. Look, it was a disappointing result today. I mean,
Sure.
any loss is a disappointing result. Flat out, full stop, end of story in that respect. Did we have many chances in the second half? No. Did Aston Villa play better than us in the second half? Absolutely. Did we maybe shoot ourselves in the foot a couple of times while they were doing that? Absolutely. We got away with 2 posters. Like we could have had, like heaven forbid, but it could have been 4. But the same vote is if we had scored one of those 3 goals that we had a chance for, the Kai Havertz one, the Jesus header, or the Trossard little dink that he hit straight at the keeper. Anywhere else, it's a goal. But that's football. It's like, this is why this is the best league in the world. Anyone could beat anyone on any given day. And that's the thing that I really come to enjoy about this league. But it frustrates the shit out of me as well. Yeah, you're going off, Dan. Dan's frozen.
That's frozen a bit, yeah.
Oh no, there he is. You're back again.
What were you saying, Dan?
No, I was listening to Glenn, I think. But if I was going to say something, it would be just that we've lost 5 games this season. Liverpool have lost 3. I know, sickening. But like, I don't see the winner of the league losing 6 this year. So we've used our lives. We've used our lives, and I think the recurring theme of this live stream has been what the fuck happened in the second half, and perhaps they had their eyes on Wednesday. Perhaps they were just stressed and nervous. Perhaps the crowd played a part. Football Dad's Army's asked a question saying, "Are you saying we played well and lost and just lost then?" Is who saying that? I don't think anyone's saying we played well.
He's asking a question. So I think we've been great. Once again, the pressure is on. We conceded answers we wouldn't have probably conceded, and we didn't convert chances that we've been converting, I think, until now. So the problem is the second half. We stopped conceding. We stopped, creating those chances, and we have been doing it all this way until the second half of this game. I thought we played quite well against Bayern. Yeah, we shipped a couple of goals, but today really reminded me of last season. You mentioned I think Southampton, Dan. It reminded me a little bit, not completely. I'm not turning the page on it, but that second half you guys were just talking about was a bit of a worrying thing. Like I said, champions will find a way to do it. Going back to the other comments, the fact that we lost before, you said there's the jugular exposed, get them out of the race, do them. We didn't. We lost by more goals than they did at home. So I've got a bit of sympathy for some of the comments coming through. A little bit over the top, but I got some sympathy.
Okay. So, sorry, Glenn, thoughts?
Did we play well? I thought we played well in the first half. I really did. I don't think we took the opportunities that were presented to us, and I think we gave a couple of opportunities to them. One of them was unfortunate because it literally... Gabriel went to pass to Zinchenko and it hit him fair and square in the back, or went to go over him or whatever it was. And then Ollie came out and had a nice crack, beautiful part. I still don't know how that didn't go in. I'm glad it
crazy.
Still don't. It's like because it
we rode our luck so hard.
Yeah,
I mean, there was that hit,
and then
Tielemans.
Yeah. But second half, it was very, very subdued, very run up. It just wasn't so. No, I can't say we played well for the 90 minutes. I'll say we played well for 45, and then we went out and had a picnic in the second half.
Oh well.
I said we outplayed, and you disagreed, unless I misunderstood you. I'm getting confused. I think we've all said how we felt.
Yeah.
Second half. Like, you don't have to have watched a lot of football to say that we didn't play well in the second half. We just don't know why we didn't play well in the second half, because the performance in the first half was very different from the performance in the second half.
100%.
So that's a disappointment, because we hadn't got a couple of goals in the first half. If we'd come out in the second half 2-0 up, I wouldn't have minded so much that we barely had the possession. But so it was disappointing. And I think that the problem I have is that we are all so desperate to win this Premier League. We all have different reactions. I think largely I'm anticipating and hoping that most Arsenal fans will go, do you know what? We'll wipe our face. We lost the game. It happens. Let's move on. But some will go in on us again, and some will go, I knew it. We were rubbish all along. We were rubbish when we were winning 10 out of 11 games. We were rubbish when we got 4 points off Man City and 4 points off Liverpool. We were rubbish when we got through to the Champions League quarterfinals. And now this result shows us we're rubbish. What this result shows us is probably what the Wolves beating Man City showed them, that you can actually lose to any team in the Premier League. It's one of the things that's most exciting about it. There's maybe a case to be made for you don't lose to Burnley, Sheffield United, and sadly Luton, for all their pluck and courage and guile, they bloody do lose. Do you know what I mean? But everyone else on their day, look at Fulham at the moment, the little renaissance of Fulham. One of the away games City still have to play.
They've taken 5 points off us. So,
yeah, I mean,
they're up there with Aston Villa, right up there with Aston Villa, taking big points off us.
Man City have to go away to Tottenham this time last year. Well, actually a bit earlier in the season. Man City went away and lost to Tottenham. Harry Kane broke the record. Could I see that happening again? Yeah, I think it would be one of those things, wouldn't it, where the Tottenham fans might all be cheering on Man City in that match, because it's the penultimate game of the season. City could go to Tottenham, win the title, lose, and it suddenly all comes down to the last day and who's got best goal difference. And I'm reminded of 2 years ago when Manchester City won the league, but they played Aston Villa at home and they were 2-0 down in the first half, and it looked like Liverpool were going to win the league. And then, of course, they came back and won it 3-2. So these things are all still possible. It's easy to look at us 2 points behind Manchester City and go, oh, it's all over. I'm only going to say that when we're 4 points behind them with only one game left. That's the only time I'm going to say it's over. But like I said at the beginning and several times since, I reacting viscerally to how I felt on the final whistle was bloody irritated, frustrated, sad, gutted. An amalgam of different emotions that made me just want to not talk about it, because the last thing I want to do is go on and catch all the flack we're going to get from. I've already cut and pasted a couple of bottle emojis and bottle memes that are going around, and I just feel
coming.
like
it's coming. Yeah,
yeah, but it's not coming to Liverpool. It's not coming to Liverpool.
We're now losing 1-0 and us losing 2-0. Because now the focus will be on us again. But to be fair to that, again, second half, Liverpool were knocking on the door a lot. We fucking weren't. It was a different game. You can't say that the Villa just escaped with their lives there. Yeah, they maybe didn't deserve to win 2-0, but Crystal Palace escaped with 3 points, and Villa, they strutted off with 3 points, excuse me. And it felt like just when they were, like I said, they showed their jugular, we thought, no, we can be shit in that. And that pisses me off.
I think we were all in agreement. It wasn't our best performance. It's time to kind of move on from it. We've got a big game in the middle of the week. I still say we're going to rock it. I mean, I'm not losing my confidence over one game. It's like,
oh, fucking
no,
way.
Me neither. Quite right. Just talking about today, big picture, the people don't like to look at. 2-3 seasons ago, where were we? Arteta was where we are. Then we got Declan Rice, and we got one or two others. We didn't get the benefit of Timber, but we will do. What's going to happen next season? If we carry on this trajectory, we're going to be fucking amazing. Because the trajectory is ridiculous. The trajectory we're on at the moment, to the point at which now people are, 2 seasons ago, oh yeah, we'll beat Bayern Munich. People are saying it. You would have said 2 seasons ago. No one said it 2 seasons ago. So I'm loving. I'm still enjoying the ride. This is a little blip, and we've had blips before. I'm sure we'll have them again. The trajectory is incredible. I'm enjoying the ride, the general ride. But people don't like looking at that kind of time scale. I don't have a problem with it. I think we're doing great.
I still say we'll have a big part to say in the end of year, at the end of the season. I really do. I don't know.
So. We're signing there's a good chance we're going to finish the trophy in maybe a trophy we've never won before. You never know. And it may be a trophy we haven't won years ago, maybe both. I think it's unlikely, but we're still there. We should be happy at that. We should be happy that there we are. We're in these 2 massive trophies, and no one's writing us off, right?
Yep.
So what happens if we have another summer like the last 2 summers? Because 2 summers have been fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think we need to start talking about next season yet either, and I don't think anyone's disagreeing that we are on the right trajectory. But so, Glenn, take me back to you. So you feel confident going into Bayern. You're not terrified, and you don't.
No, look. Part of it is what Bayern's got going on. Absolutely, there's people out that help us. Manuel Neuer is a huge key factor. He's always been a thorn in our side from that point of view. I mean, the arrogance he's played with. The good news is we shipped 2 past him in the first game.
I think he's out.
That's what I'm saying. It's like he's not playing. So it makes it a little bit easier for me to feel confident with their backup keeper because it's not Manuel Neuer.
Because he's shit. Yeah. No, he's shit.
Yeah. So from that point of view, I like our chances in the game. I don't know that any Arsenal fans not upset with today's result. I mean, we're fans. We don't like any loss. Especially it's a side coached by one of our ex-coaches. It hurts a little bit more, With
our ex-keeper in between the sticks with like a lifelong fan up front for him, it just goes worse and worse, doesn't it? We should never have sacked Unai Emery. It was a terrible mistake. If only we kept him, we would have won the treble by now. I think that's been proven time and again, hasn't it? I take your point as well, like no fans like to lose. I think the reason we feel this more is because we get so close. It's almost like the Rocky story.
But we haven't been that close. And that's the problem.
We
is now we are close. Last year we weren't close, but for the
I totally agree. That's where I'm coming from. I think we're in a privileged position to be pissed, to be losing in these games. I don't know how lucky we are. People have a short memory.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's one of those things. I think we'll learn from it. I think it's one of those things. I think it's a blimp on the radar. Yes, City has the upper hand, but the same vote is. This is a funny game, and the Premier League is the best league in the world. So, the fact that the top 3 teams play the Spurs is funny as shit.
It's right now. Yeah, bang. Yeah, they've just hit form.
Yes. What was it? 4-0 loss. Beautiful.
Exactly.
I have been enjoying watching all the Spurs chat, because I did a video about it saying that Spurs aren't like an elephant in a tree. They're like a drunk man on a unicycle. And it's not really like a question of, you're just watching to see what fun thing's going to happen. And Ange Postecoglou wins Manager of the Year. And then, as they're getting dumped out of 4th place by Villa, now they're 3 points, it's 3 points in it with a game in hand or whatever. But you look at all the Tottenham fixtures and you think, I don't know who's going to turn up, but they were abject yesterday. And what's brilliant about it is that they're so shameless. They're like, well, Ange Postecoglou comes out and goes, well, I don't really give a shit about top 4. It's a useless, we want to progress and become the best team in the world. I don't care about top 4. And you go, top 4 is like quite a good thing to achieve because it helps you. But then I also think you got 100 million quid for Harry Kane. I'd be checking down the back of the sofa. Where the fuck's that 100 million gone? Who did they buy to replace Harry Kane? Timo Werner's on loan. Timo Werner is on loan, and you're going to go. And then there's all these Spurs fans shouting about. Hopefully, it's not a mandatory purchase. Go. Why did you think Why did Leipzig let Timo Werner go? Why did Chelsea let Timo Werner go? They're all crying. Oh, we're going through this problem now because we don't have Richarlison. God, this is the quality of that team. And yet, when Man City go there, I will be cheering them on. We all have to play Tottenham. That's the one game I was really worried about, us going away to Tottenham. I still am. I think Old Trafford's
I think you're right.
No matter how they're doing, they're going to bring their A game. They're going to fight and chew and gnaw at us, and they'll do what they can. It was always going to be a tough game. Before today, you said, you could take 1 point anywhere, be away to Spurs. You grudgingly take 1 point in that one because you're so worried about if the crowd get the better of the game. But we blowed it. We said, if we ever had a golden ticket, we've just fucking shoved it up our ass. And so, we're not favorites now. Again, it's an amazing season, for nip and tuck, isn't it? But we're on the downslide this season. And I'm a little bit pissed about it, to be fair. But, what can you do? I just think we're heading in the right direction. I will not dwell on one result.
Agreed. What about you, Dan? Where are you at?
Well, in terms of I think we. I didn't think it was likely that each of the three teams going for the title would win all their remaining games. I think just balance of probabilities. I think as a person who sports bets a lot, the probability of 18 points or 21 points each from 7 games, I knew there would be slip-ups. I'm still not convinced that Man City win all their remaining games because I have a tough time believing that a team that drew at home to Chelsea, that couldn't get more than 2 shots against us, that shipped 3 goals to Real Madrid. It was a sort of game I watched afterwards. Was great. I don't think they're the same Man City side. They battered Luton. Well done. I still think there is a surprise in a sting in the tail. But what I do also feel like is that when it comes to it, in games where it matters, Pep Guardiola does know how to get his players believing in themselves and in the result. In a way, part of that comes from the magic of being Pep Guardiola. If you are somebody who's won the treble twice for 2 different clubs, you can say to people, look, this is what's going to happen in this game, and they believe you. I think in the second half, something went wrong and our players stopped believing. But I don't know if we had the right team out there today either. And that's me being clever with 2020 hindsight. We have some big games coming up. We go away to Wolves and grind out a 2-0, 1-0 victory. We're back on top of the league. And we've gone through against Bayern Munich, which I think is eminently possible. To Sean's point earlier, is like, actually, I'm not sure I want us to go through against Bayern Munich because do I think that we have enough about us to handle our Premier League business and to beat Real Madrid or Man City? And like I said earlier, if Man City get knocked out, they have the FA Cup and the league to play for. They get to rotate a great deal more. They can rest a great deal better. If we are through against Man City, they still have a better squad and the advantage still favours them. I think Liverpool have been out of it for a few weeks, but they've been surviving on the fumes. I think that it was incredible to me watching that League Cup final that they managed to win it, bringing kids on. But he hasn't gone to those kids again. And when I looked at the game today, I thought Robertson was outstanding. I thought Salah looked off his best. Darwin Núñez is exactly what everyone hates about Darwin Núñez. He is out of 512 players ranked in their ability to finish chances. He's worse than Richarlison. Out of 512 players ranked on their finishing of chances, he's 511th. He misses some chances that you can't really... They don't have scorers up there at the moment. And I think that what really... I mentioned in the video, everyone's saying, oh, look, Liverpool have won it before. And you go, yeah, Robertson's won it before. Alisson's won it before. Van Dijk's won it before. And Salah's won it before. But that's it.
Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, he's not playing. I mean, he came on today.
That's the best football player that's ever played football you're talking about right now. I mean,
so that's 4 players in that squad that have won it before. I think we're close to that. I think when it comes to it, what Klopp has achieved this season by replacing 6 midfielders and bringing in, I mean, Szoboszlai, some Liverpool fans are going to have to own this because they were talking about how he's the Hungarian Steven Gerrard. And I was like, well, I haven't seen that much of him, but wow, what a player he must be. And then now the rails have fallen off for him a little bit and he can't get in the team. I think they hit an injury run that was frightening. The injuries they took this season, and despite that, they've only lost 3 times this season. I think they've done amazingly well, but I don't think they have the firepower or the defense to get over the line. Man City is a question mark. Man City, if Man City can go away to Fulham, can go away to Spurs, can play the way that they are right now against Luton and bang in goals everywhere, overhaul our goal difference, and apart from anything, even if they don't overhaul our goal difference, if they win every one of their remaining games, they're champions, and you've got to take your hat off to them. And I feel bad about that? I sort of saying earlier, it's a Rocky film. You know, you want the underdog to win, but Rocky films aren't real life. In real life, Rocky gets absolutely pwned in the 11th round, and that's it. You know, he doesn't get the rematch. We had that last season where we were the young upstart and we got battered. We've come back for a second go. I'd love us to win it. My fear, and it's a silly thing to be frightened of, but my fear is that Pep will win 4 in a row and fuck off, and then we will win it next year, but it will be because there's no Pep and there's no Klopp. And, you know, some of the people they're talking about bringing in to replace Klopp at Liverpool are, frankly, mind-blowing.
They're obviously insane. But no, I think you're right. I think after today, it's the most likely outcome. But you know, there's been all sorts of surprises. So we don't write off. If he did, we'd do it now. But when they drew, it was advantage Arsenal.
No one really said that though. When we beat Liverpool, everyone said, "Oh, you've handed the title to City." When we drew with City, everyone went, "Oh, well, that's handed Liverpool an edge now." And you go, "No, it's us."
I heard people say it when Liverpool and City drew. I heard lots of people say it as Arsenal. I did.
Because if the two teams around you only get 1 point and you get 3, that's an advantage. And today, no one could argue that Liverpool, Man City have a decisive advantage today. Yeah, I mean, that's a given.
Honestly, you know, with Liverpool dropping off, if we'd won today by even, like you said earlier on, you know, a 31-0 would have done me. I'd be feeling very confident.
We've been top of the league. We would have had a game on the weekend to go even further ahead. And Man City, all this, you know, game in hand, everybody knows it. You'd rather have the points on the board than a game in hand.
Points. Exactly. And happened to last season, City always seemed to play before us last season.
I felt like this weekend also, like, it's worth saying, like, we got the best deal out of this weekend. First of all, Liverpool played on Thursday, still had to play before us. Aston Villa played on Thursday, had to play against us. And Man City had to play yesterday at 3:00. So they got a day less to prepare.
And we fucking blew it.
We blew it, but viewed in the prism of, like, you know, the immediate aftermath of losing it and the disappointment of that. But if you'd said to me on January the 1st, you know what, you're going to play 12 games, you're going to lose one, you're going to draw one, I'd have gone, yeah, that would do. All right, brilliant. I love that.
I'd have said it last season after you know, we came so close. Oh, you could have been, you know, like we're going to be like Leicester. But Leicester didn't come anywhere near the second season after they won it. After they spawned.
In fact, Leicester broke Chelsea's unwanted record of being the worst performing champions. Before that,
there we go.
Chelsea,
so here we are, the season after finishing second, right? And we finished.
Never mind Leicester. Look at Newcastle. Look at Man United. Look how they've dropped off. There's still no.
We finished second, and here we are. We're still fighting. So, if anyone wants to say, you know, sustained challenger for the win, we're proving it this season. You know, we may have fallen short, and maybe because of this match, or because of Fulham, or because of whatever. Who knows? But here we are at the top. All right, and it's, you know, I'm happy with that, because I don't believe, like many Arsenal fans seem to believe, that we have a God-given right to win the Premiership every season. I'll be very happy if we did. I want us to, but I don't think we should against, you know, the company we're keeping. I would like to. I just think we're going to. Not only do I think we're on the trajectory, as I said earlier on, to start another Wenger era, I think Arteta is going to surpass that, and we're going to a few in a row.
Big call. I think we're doing really well from that point of view. Yes, I think to achieve the ultimate this year would be amazing. I'll go back onto it, Dan. I don't want us to drop out against Bayern Munich. You were talking about let's focus on the Premier League. I don't want us to do that. We can't put all our eggs in one basket. We kind of tried to do that last year, didn't succeed with it. So having the fact that we could play against Real Madrid or Manchester City in the next round, like if we go and we beat them in the semi-finals on a 2-leg system, like that, wouldn't that give us some vindication of that we've done it?
I'm gonna jump in and say, do you know what? I take a lot. You're right. You are right, because last season it did us no good to come out of it. This season, if we do beat them out of it, you've got to take a jump from that. That's going to be a big step up. We can beat them over 2 legs. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I want to win the Champions League before I die. Let's be honest. I can't imagine never winning it, and we don't get to the quarterfinals that often. So when you are and you're up against a team that I think is inferior, you want to hope that you beat them.
Yeah, no, and completely understood. And from your point of view, is like what Sean was saying as well, is that we're getting better. We're better than we were last year. We're getting better. Yes, we can always sit there and go, let's kind of center forward. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's find another left back that's, better than a right back that plays left back that we vote for. I was like, there's always going to be missing pieces.
Find the centre back that Arteta actually wants to play as a centre back. Things like that.
Yeah, and here's the thing: it's always going to be arguments, and you're going to be different to me. Sean's going to be different to me of what I think we need. I think we've got a very capable side with some depth, not as much as Manchester City, on the bench, and we're almost back to completely full strength. There's no reason we can't win one or the other. Or both,
Yeah, listen, when it comes to the cup competitions, no one's going to convince me that we're not in with a shout of beating Man City or Real Madrid. And when it comes to the final, I actually thought Paris Saint-Germain were my favourites to get to the final. Seeing the Barcelona game against Paris Saint-Germain annihilated them and made me even more sure I don't want Mbappe, because he's not a team player. I think we can all agree that. I didn't see the other tie between Dortmund and Atletico, so I can't. But I wouldn't fear any of those teams in the final. So I think listening to the Mir Sandrod podcast, which is the Bayern podcast, which I do quite a lot, they were talking about what a nightmare round we're on. Because we'll get past Arsenal, but if we get past Arsenal, we've got to play Real Madrid or and they know how badly they're playing at the moment. So. I do worry.
We've got the 4 best teams in our half of the draw. I think we can agree with that. If I'm here,
three of them. I don't think Bayern are as good. I don't think Bayern are as good as PSG or Barcelona or Atletico. So I wouldn't say that. But on history, maybe. But this is not.
I'll stand by it. PSG is not a team and never has been, and that's the a collection of players. Atletico is perennial underachievers. They're doing great to be in the Champions League, but they don't tend to perform as far as we've got. And Barcelona are children, and they are us 2 years ago. Better, but they're not there yet. They're very young indeed. So no, I do think the 4 most likely people to win the Champions League are on the same side of the draw right now. Of course, now PSG are going to go off and win it and prove me wrong, but I just don't see it. I think the winner had come from our side of the draw.
Never really works out that way, though, does it? Like the winner of the champ. One of the reasons I want to win the Premier League is because there's no arguing that. When you win the Premier League, everyone can shut up. You were the best team that season.
I agree with you. I do.
When you win the Champions League, you could be a Porto that wins the Champions League. And everyone goes, well done.
In Spain, they say Arsenal's the best team to win the Champions League.
And titles like that are brilliant, aren't they? I mean, it's like we should have won it. No, at all.
I think the one thing that always plays in the back of my mind is, while it's been 20 years, it would just be brilliant to finish off with the Premier League 20 years after we won it. Sure, we probably all should have won some going along in the last 20 years, and we've kind of shit the bed on it. But like the year Leicester one, it's like
that was harsh.
Yeah,
that was harsh. That one.
Yeah. Then again, no one else could beat Leicester, and we showed them how to beat Leicester. We beat them twice.
In the year when Eduardo's leg broken and we were we were going to win it then. Mental weakness has been an issue of ours, and I think Arteta's bringing more strength than Wenger did. But yeah, we let a couple of premierships slip through our fingers there. Yeah.
Yep. But look, more power to us. We're a team on the up, and we're going to continue, as you said, Sean. We're not done. We're not at the end of our road. Like we're at the start of what could be a very good next decade.
Listen to what people are saying. Listen to what people are saying. De Zerbi, he's saying we're the best they've played against. On day, and I think we're having more days like that.
Emery saying that, is he? I'm not sure. Marco Silva.
Not today. But a lot of people have been saying it recently.
I mean, that's sickening, isn't it? When Aston Villa when Aston Villa went to the Etihad and got spanked 4-1, and then you just thought, they've won one game in 5 to come with 2 days rest and play as well as they did. In fairness, it is a fucking irritating day, really. On that bombshell, though, since it is now 11:15.
I've got you're not the best of moods. I have. It's understandable. But I think weakness is provocative, and I think we showed a bit of weakness. We provoked a good performance from them.
Yeah, definitely in the second half. And we got a good performance from them and lost. So, Sean, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I don't think we're going to win the trophy this season, but we're going to carry on our progression up and up and up, and we're going to end up winning lots of trophies in the next few years. Cool.
Glenn, final thoughts?
We're up there. We've got a chance. Who knows what's going to happen? Premier League's the best in the world. It will continue to be the best in the world. I think this is the first year that I've seen the bottom 3 be as bad as they have been. Although Luton hasn't been that bad, they've nearly upset a few teams. But Sheffield United has held their own a few times when we wouldn't have expected them to. So it still makes it the best league in the world. I don't know what's going to happen. No one's got a crystal ball. We could be sitting there cheersing an absolutely continue over a brilliant season. I mean, the turnaround we did after December, the Christmas break, that was it just shows you how different it is. It's like they flicked the switch, they're on, and I think they're going to flick the switch again, and it's going to be a case of Manchester City better not screw up. It's like, and it may not even be them screwing it up. It may be someone just playing outside them, beside themselves. They go into Fulham, who knows what's going to happen. So that's where I'm at. I can't say we're going to win or not win anything from that point of view. I want us to stay in both competitions, in relevance in both competitions. Let's see where we end up.
Yeah, and I would finish off by saying that, to carry on from what you just said, Man City are away to Brighton, they're away to Fulham, and they're away to Tottenham. And I don't necessarily think they are going to get 9 points from that set of fixtures. I do think they'll go away to Forest and win, but they didn't last season. And none of this is done yet. There's 2 points of difference, 6 games to go. You'd be some kind of arsehole if you just gave up. But like in the end of Fever Pitch, which is still, I've felt like that so many times, where he's like almost makes it his job to kind of go, well, we've blown it now, because you kind of, they say the hope that kills you, so you just don't want to give in to the hope. And the earliest opportunity you have to go, because whatever I say, whatever the 3 of us say, Arteta ain't watching this, and so he's just going to carry on doing the job that he's been doing really well for 4 years.
He's only just turn this over, he's just sitting there next to me. But he's not. So
I didn't hear what you said. What was that? Okay, I'm going to mute Sean.
You're not in the way. Fair enough. So,
Has that worked? Say something, Sean. That's better. So, yeah, final thoughts were final thoughts. And I'm still pissed off. Of course, I'm pissed off. Why wouldn't I be? And bottom line is, I still think we can win it. And I'm looking forward to more twists and turns in the title run-in. And I still, all this chat about being terrified of Bayern Munich, not this Bayern Munich. Do think we could lose to them, because I wasn't terrified of Villa either. And the Allianz is an intimidating place for people like, well, I was thinking Bukayo Saka's not really done this, but he's done it in top level international football. So keep on nerve. Went to the Etihad, didn't get phased. Went to Liverpool, didn't get phased by the Anfield crowd. Allianz Arena is just another step on the way. And if we do go out, I think we're building experience in this team for the future. So leave it on a positive. Glenn, thank you so much for joining.
No worries, mate.
We'll do it again soon. I've got to try and work out how to invite people on the live streams you do through YouTube, which I'm trying to shift towards now. But it's not obvious to me how you do that. So live stream on StreamYard until I figure it out. But thank you for joining, Glenn, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Cheers, mate. Have a good nap.
Cheers, mate.